and welcome back everyone to the video series dedicated show on MTV that has crowned its new champions. That's right, we're talking about The Challenge Season 41, Vets and New Threats, Episode 19. And can I just say that this is one of the best final performances I have ever seen from a duo that was down by so much in the final stretch. And what the winners were able to do was near miraculous, I would say, near impossible what they were able to overcome and get this challenge championship, as well as all the finalists left it all out there. They went until they were empty. They went until they had to be medically evacuated to go to the hospital and be rushed to the hospital. This was a final to remember, but we'll get into everything and the results as we go through this review and recap. Let's first start off where last episode left off, and that was TJ at the campsite with everybody lined up and him asking if anyone would like to stake a claim on anyone else. It's pretty quiet from everyone, and we find out that no one wants to stake a claim, which is no surprise. After day one of the final, people were tired, people are cold, and they just want to get to the overnight portion, get finished with what they need to do, and just get some sleep and get ready for the following day. The overnight portion is very reminiscent to Rivals 3's overnight portion, where one player in each pair will have to stand on a log. The partner not on the log can go sleep in the tent, and then they can switch off as much as they want. Now the twist is that there's an advantage of where everyone placed from the day prior. So Turbo and Sydney, when they placed first after day one, they only had to do it for 6 hours. Michaela and Cedric finished in second place, so they had to do it for 7 hours. Yeremi and Olivia finished in third, so they had to do it for 8 hours. And Theo and Adrienne were in fourth place, so they had to do it all night. The overnight portion was pretty standard in that everybody did their allotted amount of time. The real drama happens in the morning because TJ let everyone know that before day 2, all the pairs need to be lined up, ready to go, and with their ropes. The problem comes when Michaela and Cedric could not find their rope. They talked about how they left it near the fire, but somebody must have picked up their rope and somebody has their rope and they're missing it. We get a confessional from Theo stating that he picked up what he thought was his and Adrienne's rope, brought it to their tent. So in the morning, he had a rope. He just didn't know if it was 100% his or Michaela and Cedric's. But at this point, there's a missing rope, and Theo is just keeping his lips sealed, and Michaela and Cedric will have to deal with the consequences of not having a rope in their possession. So everyone lines up. Cedric tells TJ that he and Michaela do not have their rope. TJ says that they will be enforced a 5-minute time penalty and will be given a new rope. So TJ blows the horn, everybody runs off except for Michaela and Cedric. Now right off the bat, 5 minutes seems like a lot of time to have to make up. But with the 2 checkpoints on the way to climbing the mountain and getting to the top to be the finish line, it would turn out that Michaela and Cedric have more than a good opportunity to not only make up time, make up spaces, and could have been in the running to win this challenge season. 5 minutes passes pretty quickly and Michaela and Cedric are able to get going. Everybody gets to checkpoint 7, which is trivia on their partner. The questions are, what is your partner's middle name? What is their zodiac sign? What original show are they from? And who was their first partner? Each correct answer will give you a 4-digit code to open up a padlock and unlock a key and a map. Each team member has to answer the question separately. It seems as though that your partner can't just give you the answer. If you get a question wrong, you have to run down into a pit, select the question that you think you got incorrect. It will give you the answer and you have to run back up and try the code again. For however many questions you got incorrect, you have to go up and down this pit, getting the answers one at a time. I like that this final had trivia. I like the way that they incorporated their own partnerships in with it. Everyone had the same exact questions, so it was balanced in difficulty. And this was just tough enough trivia for it to be an equalizer for, say, Michaela and Cedric, who had a 5-minute time penalty. Yes, they left in 4th place still, but they weren't 5 minutes behind the rest of the teams. The 2 questions that stumped a lot of the teams were, what is your partner's middle name and zodiac sign? I say what stumped most of the teams, but really, Sydney was on another level in this checkpoint as she was able to get all the questions correct right off the bat. Her and Turbo arrived at this checkpoint first and they left first. This is where Yeremi and Olivia were a little bit behind on everyone else because they became partners so late in the game. They both had to do multiple trips, but they were able to arrive in second place and leave in second place. Theo, it felt like, never really had a conversation with Adrienne as he went up and down into the pit multiple times, but they were able to arrive in third place and leave in third place, and Michaela and Cedric made up loads of time, erasing their time penalty, and they were right up with the pack as everyone was heading off to the 8th and final checkpoint of the final. Now, before getting to the final checkpoint, I do want to talk about Theo and Adrienne, in that I was very critical of Theo's performance in part 1 of this final. He wasn't really helping Adrienne out in any of the puzzles. He wasn't going to do the Stairmaster. He didn't want to do the swim. I felt like he was checking out and he was just not prepared well enough for the final. But in part 2, I do have to give Theo some props, as Adrienne was struggling mightily with the altitude, with the elevation. She was dizzy a lot and she felt like she was going to quit on multiple stages, but Theo was there to really help her out, give her encouragement, help propel her as far as they possibly could as a pair. So I just want to give Theo credit for being a good partner to Adrienne, for being there for her, being encouraging through the toughest time for her in this final. And we get to the 8th and final checkpoint, which is the teams having to play Connect 4 with one another. I talked about last week that I do not care for these types of checkpoints in the final, where a team out in head has to now wait for teams behind them to catch up to them so that they can play a children's game. And I felt like this is going to annoy the heck out of me, because this probably will decide who wins the final. Like, Turbo and Sydney have been legging it out this entire time. In day 1, they were first place like 90% of the time. Day 2 started out the exact same way, where Turbo and Sydney were ahead of everyone else. And now they're going to be penalized because they were out so far ahead, but the challenge wants to halt everything and make all the teams jumble up together for the final run to be super close. I was already feeling myself getting frustrated, but I will give the challenge credit, knowing how everything turns out, that what happens at this checkpoint really makes the last stretch of this final so thrilling and makes it feel so inspirational. And we'll get into all of that. But Turbo and Sydney arrive to the 8th and final checkpoint first. They have to wait for second place, which is Yeremi and Olivia. They're playing for quite a while, going back and forth. It looked like Yeremi and Olivia were going to win at one point, but Turbo is an ace at Connect 4. He is really good, and he was able to employ strategy in blocking Yeremi and Olivia, as well as locking in the win. Turbo and Sydney win this checkpoint, get to stay in first place, and they are taking off with a huge head start, as now Yeremi and Olivia have to wait for Theo and Adrienne and Michaela and Cedric, which Theo and Adrienne eventually do get to the game board. Now, I had a concern with Theo going up against Olivia, in that I felt like this whole game was going to be a wash. That there was going to be a point where Theo's like, okay, me and Adrienne didn't do so well on day 1. I don't think that we can catch up to Sydney and Turbo, so I'm just going to fall on my sword, give the win to Yeremi and Olivia, so that way that they can make up time and possibly get up there and pass Turbo and Sydney. But thank goodness that wasn't the case, that we are still playing the game, and Theo wants to get that challenge championship. He wants to get that money, to the point where we get a confessional being like, me and Olivia played this game at home all the time. I win every time. And whether it's at home or on top of the Andes Mountains, Theo wins yet again. He and Adrienne leave. They take over second place. Luckily though, while Theo, Adrienne, Yeremi, and Olivia were playing with one another, you had Michaela and Cedric also join in, so they can play the game right after Yeremi and Olivia lost to Theo and Adrienne. And unfortunately for Yeremi and Olivia, they too lose against Michaela and Cedric. So putting it in perspective, Yeremi and Olivia, who were in second place, lost to Turbo and Sydney, then had to wait for Theo and Adrienne to show up. They lose against them, then they have to play another game, this time against Michaela and Cedric. They go through a whole game and lose again, and then on top of that, for losing and being the last team there, they then have to incur a 10-minute time penalty. They have to stand there in the cold, watching everybody just run away from them. Turbo and Sydney, who were already in first place, looked unstoppable when we got the confessionals between Yeremi and Olivia and their realization that they are now in last place. having this time penalty, having lost all those games in a row, I thought that the edit was trying to tell us, like, this is it. This is where they end their challenge journey. They're going to be so far behind everybody that they're not going to be able to make up any time. They're going to lock in 4th place. Maybe they can pass somebody and get 3rd place. I thought that this was the end of the road for them. And I have to give the credit to the challenge editing room because they really sell it like this is it for them. Oh, but how wrong I was, because what we witness in the final stretch of this final is one of the best performances I have ever seen in a comeback victory. Yeremi and Olivia were last place by a wide margin. They had so much ground that they had to make up, and what they were able to do is just stay consistent. You had Yeremi being the engine, being the driving force. Olivia was able to keep up with Yeremi as he was pushing the pace. They had motivation, that they put one foot in front of the other. They never stopped. They never took a break. You had Michaela and Cedric be able to pass Theo and Adrienne, where Adrienne was struggling mightily. And then in a blink of an eye, you see Yeremi and Olivia now passing Theo and Adrienne to take over 3rd place. With Yeremi and Olivia passing Theo and Adrienne, we all know that Michaela and Cedric aren't that far up ahead. With going a consistent pace, never stopping, continuing just to go one foot in front of the other, they're able to pass Michaela and Cedric for 2nd place. And I just feel like with them being so far behind everybody and then getting to pass 2 teams back to back in quick succession just probably lit a fire in them, brought the adrenaline up to the surface, and gave them the strength and power of will to be like, if we can pass those 2 teams, what if? What if we can get to Turbo and Sydney? What if we can just see them? Would that give us enough strength to then put it into overdrive and maybe, just maybe, overtake them? Yeremi and Olivia are going one step at a time. They are making their way up this mountain. And lo and behold, they're able to see Turbo and Sydney in front of them at one point. And you can hear it in Olivia's voice where she's like, whoa, they're right there. That Olivia, who has just been putting her head down and just walking to keep up with Yeremi, is now feeling this 2nd win, this 3rd win, this 4th win in this final climb. That once she sees Turbo and Sydney, she's like, it's possible. With less than 400 feet from the finish line, Yeremi and Olivia are able to catch up with Turbo and Sydney. They're able to pass them on a narrow pathway up the mountain. And not only are they able to pass them, but they're able to put distance between them. Not only just eking out a 1st place win, but putting a little authority on it, saying that we're taking 1st place and we're going to win this thing. And that's what they do. Yeremi and Olivia get to the chest, they put all their keys in, they open it up, and it says, congratulations, you are now challenge champions and you won $425,000. It is absolutely spectacular what Yeremi and Olivia were able to accomplish. I thought that they were done, that it was over. Them standing by the Connect 4 board in last place, waiting a 10-minute time penalty, that it would be too much to overcome. Really, there was no wiggle room in this final push, in this final stretch for Yeremi and Olivia, that if anything went off just a little bit, they most likely would have lost. And I just want to say congratulations to the new challenge champions of Yeremi and Olivia. 1st place, first-time challenge champions. Now, to go over the rest of the results, you have Turbo and Sydney locking in 2nd place. After finishing, Turbo then had to be looked at by the medical staff, and he was quickly bundled up and put into a helicopter to get rushed to a hospital as he was showing signs of hypothermia. Turbo and Sydney did an incredible job over the course of the season, and even though it wasn't the placement that they were hoping for, they still should be very proud of the games that they played and their performance in the final. In 3rd place, you get Michaela and Cedric, where at one point, Michaela tripped and fell onto the ground, and then she was asking for water. A medical staff person came up and wanted to check her vitals, but Michaela was trying to shut everything down. She's if you're going to check me, you're going to want to take me out of this game. I don't want to stop. I can't stop. I need to at least finish. As this was a big point for Michaela. Like, yes, she wanted to win, but she also wanted to finish. Because in USA 2's final, she was so close at getting to the finish line, but couldn't do it. And in this final, she wanted to at least reach the finish line, which luckily the medical staff was like, you're good to keep going. Her and Cedric just pressed forward, and they were able to make it up to the summit, lock in third place. I think that Cedric and Michaela did a fantastic job in this final, given their adversity, given the ankle twist, given everything against them. They were able to lock in third place, which is very, very impressive. And Theo and Adrienne came in fourth place, / they had to be disqualified from the final as Adrienne was struggling mightily with the elevation, with the altitude that she was getting very dizzy. She couldn't continue to press forward. At a certain point, they were slowing down by so much that they were so behind everyone else, so behind third place that they were going to get zero money anyways, that at a certain point, it was just going to be too dangerous for Adrienne to complete this thing. So at a certain point, Theo and Adrienne were talking to production and just said that they're cool with stopping. And so they got into a warm tent and was waiting for the rest of the finalists to finish up. Really looking at the finals as a whole and really looking over this season as a whole, I couldn't be happier with how everything played out. And I know that I was hypercritical, especially of the vets, of their performances in day one, but in day two, everyone came out ready to play, ready to compete, ready to leave everything out on that mountain, which I can say without a doubt everyone did, until they were medically disqualified, whether they had 1 or 2 good ankles, whether they were dealing with signs of hypothermia and wasn't going to stop until they reached the top of that mountain, and Yeremi and Olivia leaving everything out there, going past empty in hopes that they would win, and they did. I'm just so proud of everybody, and especially proud of Yeremi and Olivia for their incredible comeback win. This was really good by the challenge team, and I personally enjoyed this final. I personally enjoyed this season, one of the best seasons we've had in quite a long time. And I mean that especially for the flagship show. I felt like this season was a huge breath of fresh air. And I want to give it up to the new cast members, the rookies, the threats. They came in ready to compete, ready to prove themselves, ready to make a mark, not being afraid of anyone, not playing the safe, fun, friendly game as we've seen other newer cast members play in like season 37, season 36. They didn't let the vets walk all over them, and I just really appreciate the rookie cast members. I hope we get to see a lot of them come back to the challenge very, very soon, as well as I'm happy with the vets that were able to come into this season, play. Everybody and every one of their stories really interwoven throughout this season really put together a very compelling season that I really, really appreciate. As well as I want to give a special shout out thank you to everyone who supports me over at patreon.com/angelcakevids. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you for watching this video up to this point. Now, this may be the end of the regular season, but we still have 2 more reunion episodes that I'll be covering over the next 2 weeks. Then we'll be going into the off season, where I'll be making tons of off-season content over here at YouTube, as well as patreon.com/angelcakevids. If you don't want to miss any videos and want some really juicy extra content that is Patreon exclusive, please check out my Patreon page. There's a link in the description. And I just want to say thank you to everyone for watching these videos, watching these review and recaps, watching my videos, and checking out my channel in the first place. So I just want to say thank you so much again for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see everybody next time. Peace.